Day job keeps getting in the way. Quit that thing.
How soon?
Maybe 4 months.
Oh, listen to you, good deal.
Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Any additions to the agenda, or is it good?
Should be good.
I entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of minutes.
There's 2 sets.
I'll make a motion to approve the
Second.
minutes as presented.
Okay, so that's for the 12th and the 19th. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments, or additions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. JCPenney.
Okay, we received a call from the owner of the former JCPenney building, former Health Systems building, that he is willing to give the building up to a local unit of government. So he's contacted the county, contacted us. So he just wants to get rid of it before it goes back on taxes or falls apart. He did note that he made some roof repairs to it about 6 years ago, and it does have some leaks in it now and would need some repairs. He got an estimate for the full roof replacement, and I think that was around $60,000 for it. So, you know, ultimately, if the city were to take on the building, it's not something that we want to own, have to try to fix up, operate for any period of time. We would rather see it transitioned into someone else, but noting that it has some significant repair work that it needs to take place. It would need to probably have some other improvements to bring it up to code. Some information that we have gathered on it, it's been on the market for some time. It's been shown to prospective buyers even up until this year, and all of those buyers turn it down. It's just too expensive, either with the repairs that it needs to be made and what the guy's asking for it, or it's too daunting of a building to try to take on that cost, knowing that its value, once those improvements are made, are likely going to really kind of cannibal any sort of renovation to that project. It is a significant portion of that block. It's probably one of the largest buildings in the downtown area.
Be a great place for a big restaurant someday.
You know, there's a lot of potential within that to do something there. But noting, I think I mentioned in some previous discussion in the other agenda item, is how do there's this gap. You know, there's what individual owners can do, what they can get financing for, and then everything else. And lacking, there are grant dollars for some programs, but not everything. And a lot of these projects need more than just facade or roof repairs. They need plumbing and heating, they need electrical, they need stuff just to bring them up to code as well as too. So prior to taking it on, it's very important to discuss what
You said the bid for the roof is $60,000.
that's what he had mentioned. And that we've confirmed with another recent roof repair, and that's probably the going cost for a full replacement. This isn't just a patch job. So
you can see what, an owner would be up against. Let's just pull a number out of the air, say it was worth $100,000. Loan to value that a bank would give you is 80 if you're lucky, but it could be 70. You throw another 100 or 60,000 into it, just that we know of, and when you get done with that, you still have a building that's worth 100.
Yeah.
And that's where all the downtown businesses are, having problems. They all need, roofs, furnace, air. Then, you put on top of it parking. you know, so.
It's sad because with every building that goes, the downtown dies a little more. So, you know,
Has anybody in the city been inside of it to look at it, to see, just kind of do an inspection?
Did you go, Carol?
No, I haven't been in a long
No,
time.
I haven't gone, but there have been people that, in the community that have been in there recently. The owner was here a few months ago to showing people around. I know the county had to look at it too. I spoke to Deb Gruber about that, and she did go in and inspect it as well. I think he might have left her keys to be able to go in there and look at it too.
My guess is it's probably worse than Thielen's was, and you look at what Presapio's had to all put into Thielen's to get that to even be usable.
do you have any idea, what did that cost, any idea?
Presapio's?
Yeah.
Has the heat been maintained in there?
The heating and air do work. I think it was turned on and they do work, and somebody did some asking about what its life expectancy is, and it's possibly 5 years that it could last. They are rooftop air units, and there's a massive boiler in the basement.
But it has been heated over the winter?
I don't know that.
I would bet not.
Yeah.
Or you might turn it down to 40 degrees.
I was gonna say, I think it would have been probably minimally heated, otherwise you'd think the windows would have.
Right,
Would have been
And there's gas, forced air furnace too, for parts of the building as well. So.
It's a cool old building, but unless we've got an end use, I mean, I could see fixing it up and selling it, but we need someone willing to buy it.
Yeah, and well,
We don't wanna do it on a speculative basis, just.
I don't know about the city coming into we're taking on the risk to doing all the repair work too, because who knows what we're gonna get into.
Right.
Well, it justifies our ideas, you know, we need a downtown rehab program of some kind.
The owners does have a time request for action on this, because he does want his motivation to giving it up to a local government is that he can take the tax right out and go for it. And we would like to do that for 2016.
Well, you know, I saw St. Cloud Times had a really nice article on St. Joe and downtown apartments, but I know that we've got an ordinance against the main floor. Because they had a couple of places where these people actually moved in from off the farms and stuff, and they loved it because they were right downtown for everything. They didn't have to worry about driving much. The upstairs might work for that, but the downstairs would be better served with something else.
And then that one has kind of an extraordinary challenge with that part of town, is it doesn't have direct access to parking.
Right. That's what I was gonna say.
Off-street parking would
We
really
just went
get
through that.
Yeah. So, yeah. There are plenty of off-street parking lots in a 1 block radius, certainly, of that building, but it doesn't have anything that's directly accessible to it. We'd have to either use the police lot or the accounting lot. There's, across the street from the bank, there's a city parking lot. So,
The positives of that building, one thing is positive, when Help Systems was in there, they've got a lot of DSL lines and that, so if you wanted to make it into, some small offices, say for, maybe an attorney in one, or an architect in another, whatever, that would use a lot of data, make it into kind of an incubator building for that and some retail.
yeah, there was an example of project in St. Cloud where they have a large space, but it's leased, you just lease some square footage within that shared space, so you have some smaller, independent people that are working in there, and one just big business and different cubicles. You can add a conference room in there, so they kind of have access to all the office amenities, and they don't have to fork over a lot to have that.
I mean, there's several examples of that already downtown. You know, the dentist office, which is almost right next door, and Tom, can't think of the guy's name, insurance.
Demo?
Yep, Demo, thank you. You know, that's what he did with his building, so. But the problem is you gotta have somebody that wants to take it on.
Yep.
I don't think that's the city.
No, I don't want to get into that business.
What about the guy that bought Crestliner out?
Oh, I don't
This
think-
too small for him?
Yeah, he wouldn't wanna be doing that. Now, Susan Presapio's been talking about getting a group in a co-op type of a situation, you know, that would come in and own a building. Get it fixed up, all of that, and eventually if they sell it, then, you know, you get your investment back, and then you go do another building.
I had a very similar situation to that in Madison where I was before. We had a business development corporation that raised some private funds to purchase, well, at the first re-project of it, they started this back in the 60s and they revitalized it back in like the early 2000s or mid 2000s. Bought the local car dealership because the owner was moving out, wanted to retire, wanted to sell it, but didn't have any interested buyers. So they bought it and then leased it to a neighboring community's car dealership, so that at least it could keep the mechanics working there. Eventually, it became successful, and that they were able to. That other car dealership bought it outright from them, and then they took proceeds from that sale and utilized it to work on a couple other projects. So we had 2 other projects in my time there that we did in the downtown area to kind of do a similar thing. And we would work with them on an EDA level to loan them some money to help do some of the repairs, get the buildings back up to code, get them, you know, ready to be leased out. They would find business owners to lease the facility, and eventually they had some other additional success, and they turned one building into 2 offices, a photography studio and a computer IT company, and they then in turn rented it for a while and found it until they were successful and ultimately bought the building outright from them. So it does have some room for success, and then we took the proceeds of that, paid back the EDA loans, and we were able to kind of work towards the next project. So that's for my experience, that was a good use, and if there's a property co-op that could get started, they'd be a good facilitator to helping that transition time between who's your next owner or what's the long-term solution for the property. In the meantime, you gotta get the roof fixed, because if you don't take care of the roof, the rest of the building is gonna suffer pretty dramatically, pretty quickly. And it isn't the city holding the keys to that building for a long period of time.
Well, from the owner's perspective, it'd be nice for him to give it to us if we could give it to somebody else or sell it for $1 to somebody else,
Yes.
because then he gets his tax write-off.
Yeah. And he doesn't have any stipulations for the property giving it to us. It's all he wants is to be off of it, so.
So there wouldn't be any issues with asbestos removal if it was given to us? Does that fall upon us, checking on all of those things?
Only I think if we do the
Improve,
remodeling or
okay.
we do any improvements,
Okay.
then it would be our responsibility. But if we just turn it over to someone else, then it becomes, you know, theirs.
And there's manageable, there's more cost-effective, manageable ways to handle those things than for us. I think for us, it's hazardous materials are in there. They have to be entirely removed and mitigated, and there's ways that are within the rules for them to continue.
They can encapsulate or do
Yeah,
whatever, they don't
encapsulate
have to
it.
remove it, so.
So,
Well, you know, this is just a tough one. We get empty buildings down there, and, you know, so it might be perceived as we're going into the realty business when other people are trying to sell theirs, but also that's a large building in our downtown that would benefit everybody else if we found something to do with it.
We had an end use, yeah. Yeah, I guess, you know, as far as fixing it up, you know, and getting it ready to go, it'd be great if we knew where the keys were going, or to help somebody who we gave the keys to.
Yeah. Ideally, we'd like to be able to, like I said, buy it, or we'd get it for free, we'd sell it to somebody for $1, and then maybe help him finance the remodeling, I think would be the ideal scenario, but you don't want to, do we want to take it on without having that buyer, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't know.
Yeah, has he offered it to any contractors or construction people?
No, at this point, it's just been to the city and the county.
Because if he wants to give it away, essentially, would it be less advantage to him if he were to give it to Gottwald or Roach or Check? Or-
Yes.
Yeah, because
He
you
won't
wouldn't
get
get
the
the
tax
tax
rate
rate on it.
He won't get the tax rate.
Right.
But if one of those guys were interested in it, we could be the go-between, I would assume. But we gotta get one of them to say, yeah, I'm interested.
And, you know, I think in a scenario like this, it wouldn't hurt us to ask for proposals, you know, have people give us ideas
That
for,
would make
for what they could do with it, and, you know, it might buy us some time into finding that right fit too. You know, whereas it isn't just about, our interest isn't just about saving the building, it's about what's in the best, you know, what's the best use of it, what's the best benefit to the downtown area.
And we want a turnaround time on it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
somebody didn't buy and figure, well, I'll slowly work on this for,
Yeah.
like a couple of buildings,
Yeah.
houses in town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They build for 5 years and then,
Well, you're going to want, whoever would get it, you have to know that they have the financial
Yeah,
resources.
financial resources
In order
or at least
to
strategic
do it.
capability to handle a project like this. They maybe have done something similar in the past, you know, and could show some proof that they can do it again.
You know, you look at Contegrity, you know, there they did the initial drawing, looks great. They took over the Flowerdale building after somebody got in there and didn't have the financial wherewithal to do what they need to do with it, made that into a beautiful business.
I look at Roaches and look what they did across from the post office with those apartments there. There's some beautiful places there, but once again, I know the ground floor can't be made, but, you know, they could do the apartments and fix up the ground floor to lease out to somebody for a business.
Or even look at the Buckland building, I mean, that ground floor is their dining area,
Yeah.
and the apartments are up.
Yeah.
you know.
Good point.
But they got an elevator.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Well, yeah, did
That's
you
a
have to
problem.
put that elevator in or was it there?
they did.
They did, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, he'd have to put in the elevator. I don't know if we've given you enough direction.
Well, I like the idea of putting it out for proposals.
Yeah,
I,
let's see if we can generate some interest in it.
Well, we've talked, even if we did have that downtown revitalization program going, that we didn't, you know, we didn't want to turn it to a developer to fix it up and turn it over.
Yeah.
Because that's not what it's meant for, but if they were going to develop into something that was going to be used, we're not
Yeah.
looking for
Well,
that
and
profit off our money.
Exactly. If it's financed or structured in a way like our HPC loans
Yeah.
are constructed, where portions are forgivable over time, you'd have to ensure that if it is, you know, there, and I certainly wouldn't turn down a proposal like that where it is a developer, they want it, you know, they want to come in, do the work, ultimately turn it around and get
Well,
it
they wanna
into
get
somebody
repaid.
else.
Yeah,
But we want to recoup as much of that,
Yeah.
as much of that investment as
Absolutely.
possible. You know, not just to say, hey, here's your money to go ahead and do this.
yeah, as long as we get our money back, I don't see anything wrong
you
with
know,
it.
that'd be a win-win for us.
Yes, yes.
So I think, you know, in this meeting, in terms of helping frame that discussion and moving forward, if we do ask for those proposals, is what other incentives can we offer in terms of a rehab program for some of these buildings, I think. And it doesn't just specifically to this building, there's plenty of others that are in very similar situations that they need work and, you know, but their values are.
Is there- If we can put together a formal program, the rehab program, can we get grant money to help us finance something like that? I mean, is there,
Most of the grant money that's available is just for facades.
Facades.
Yeah, and roofs, and
And
when
I,
you do small cities money, a lot of it is tied to Davis-Bacon wages, so a lot of times the cost of the project will double because you have to pay Davis-Bacon wages and, you know, people here can do it less expensive, so, you know, we've had that program, it has helped in some cases and not in others, it just
Yeah.
depends on the situation. But again, they will pay for facades, which our HPC will do facades
Yeah,
and windows.
we don't need to be in that
grills, you
business,
know.
right?
But,
Yeah,
this
it's
is for more like plumbing,
Yeah,
heating,
the
electrical, you know,
internal
those
programs,
kinds of things that.
And we can help with our loan fund, and we have in the
Well, that's
past
true.
with various buildings, but it's a loan fund,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, it has to be paid back.
When you talk years, are you talking, which hat? Are you talking community development or the EDA here?
Oh, community development, the IRB.
That's okay.
Yeah, and I think the ideal scenario is you leverage as much as you can from external dollars
Right.
too. If there is small cities programs or things like that that are out there, you utilize those for the parts that are important, and then find the gaps and the things that can be funded through those resources.
Well, and that's why I think, we've had a lot of discussion about B, and then we'll be getting to that, but I think that's very important that we continue to move forward with that and come up with a plan and a structure of what we're gonna do and how we're gonna do it, because that keeps coming up time after time, how valuable would that be, and, so any more discussion on this Penny's building, is that the,
I think, yeah, the general scenario is let's put it out for proposals, let's see if there's interest.
So
How can you do that if you don't own the building?
I think the first question would be, do you take the building?
It's catch-22.
Well, I still think you could contact the Roaches and see if that'd be something they'd be interested in even taking a look at. I mean, to go ahead and get the building and then now it's our problem. When we know he's had a problem for,
well, my own question
20
is,
years.
what's the difference if he walks away and leaves it,
Yeah.
or we take it from him before he walks away?
No,
Either way,
no.
we're gonna be stuck, just like the Clark station, or does that go to the county like the Clark station?
Well, it does, but the county doesn't do anything, I mean, it's tax forfeit property, but the county doesn't, alls the county does is administer, it really goes back to the state. And, we worked with the Clark station for a long time, and it took 7-8 years for it to go tax forfeit, and then there's still a redemption period. So if this goes, it'll be 10-11 years, he won't be able to deed it to us. All the back taxes sit there, and then we can't obtain it until that whole forfeiture process is complete.
I think it's a worst case scenario if we don't
Won't
take it
take it,
than if we
yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Because if there's a market for him to sell it out there, we can go through that same, I think it benefits us to, I don't know if it benefits us, but long term, I think we'd be better out.
Yeah, I think there's a market for it if you can fill the gap in the cost of the renovation for whatever that plan is, for how it's gonna be used. Because right now, it's been on the market, it's been looked at by people, there were interested parties, but when they put, pencil to paper and they're figuring out the cost, they can't make it work. So there's obviously something there that's preventing them from being able to do it, or else it would have happened already. And for him to be, I think this is progressive on his part to even offer it first, rather than just say, okay, you wipe my hands of it and just let it go back on taxes. Well, we gotta wait 7 years for that.
Well,
It's incurring on the taxes right now, so.
He's gonna get a $30,000 write-off, basically, is what, that's his profit, if he gives it to us.
So,
He'll get about a third of the value.
So if we say here that we believe we should go forward and accept that building, that goes to the council,
It
or
would,
can the EDA?
couldn't the EDA take
yeah,
ownership
the
of it?
EDA can, yeah.
Okay.
What would it cost us to landfill the place if we can't get rid of it, right?
I guess, you let it go the way it's going, make a parking lot out of it eventually.
No, I know, that's the
Well,
sad part.
I caution against that. I've seen, buildings, especially mid-block buildings that have adjoining walls to others. It gets real scary in terms of how do you separate those out, you clean those projects up.
And it wouldn't be a very practical parking lot.
It would have much better use to be renovated and stay where it's at.
So.
Danged if you do.
Do we need a motion? Is that what we're looking for?
To take it?
Yeah?
have to be a big bow on that sucker. Oh,
Of course, we don't know what we're buying or getting.
no, we don't.
Could you and Greg and Ben go over and
Take a look at it.
Do
Check
it,
it
if we could
over.
get some
Look
kind
at
of
it for
inspection
repairs.
done by an engineer, or, I mean,
I just know of, I've had conversations with people that have been in the building. I mean, structural engineers, no, I haven't had anybody in that realm look at it.
You could ask, Earl Fickman or somebody from his office.
that's
because
what I'm thinking, get
he
integrity
He
involved.
has been in there with people
Mhm.
on numerous occasions.
No, he has.
Yes, so he would know, what would really need to be done.
I think that might be smart to do that first. I mean, we've got some time before the end of the year, we can still potentially
Yeah.
comply, right? So,
Well, the only, yes, we do have time by the end of the year, however, he has to get it appraised, and then it will take time for that property transaction to be completed. So, if we're gonna do this,
I don't know how commercial appraisals are working, but when I did my residential appraisal a little under a year ago, it was 35 to 40 days out before it get appraised. And I think I got it in 30 days, and I was very happy. That was the longest part of the whole home purchasing.
You might wish to have another meeting in a week or so.
Right, that's something we'll call
Meantime,
special meeting.
Just table it.
We can table it and then have city staff go through it with somebody from Contegrity.
Yeah,
And you can take a look at the building.
maybe talk to Susie and see if she's interested, but I thought that's where the building she bought's where the purple carrot was gonna go.
Well, she's still,
I was gonna say, I don't think that decision's been made,
No,
it's
it's
just
not.
that
Oh, okay, because I know they've got those shops in there now,
Right,
from the
right.
rumors, the people
Right.
I'm talking to, they
Right.
love it.
Right. And it's hard for us to go to any specific people and say, hey, do you have an interest? I think we need to publicly advertise that and say, hey, this is the project, or this is what we have, and
I'd
open
like
it
to
up
see
the
the
public and,
ideas.
yeah, let them come up with ideas for uses and,
Mm-hmm. This is a big building,
But
a lot of room.
You're not gonna
upstairs.
get any ideas if the known financial gap of how can you overcome that,
Mhm.
isn't out there too, so.
well,
I think they're kind of
Yeah.
twofold.
I mean, I think there's pretty general consensus here that we want to do something similar to what the EDA, or not the EDA, the Historic Preservation,
yeah.
Yeah.
we haven't got it put together, but I think we want to do it. I don't think there's anybody here that's opposed. Am I right?
correct.
Yeah, no, we gotta do,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of
So-
buildings downtown that need
So I
some
think
help.
the intent is there. Now it's a matter of, let's just start working the process a little bit. Let's get a better handle on what we would really be buying.
So if we do take this building, we have something to offer to go along with it,
Yeah.
to pull it off.
Mhm.
Well, at least it'd be nice to have a realistic picture, okay, well, wait a minute, the whole roof structure is bad, or whatever the case may be. You know, if these guys have been through it, they would know what it would take to get up to code, a new furnace, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We at least have a better idea. You know, if we start looking at using our rehab program, holy cow, this one could break us day one.
It would probably be one of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, right off the bat.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can just bring that next time. We don't have a motion on the table, so we don't have,
Do we need to do a motion to just table it for the next meeting, or?
there's no motion on the table, so we
Okay.
can just bring it back.
Okay. All right.
Okay, downtown rehab program discussion.
So similarly, I guess I already touched on it. I think there's some question, a couple of things that came up in talking about this too is how do we ensure that we're structuring it too to not possibly over incentivize the project, and then we've made these projects and these buildings more competitive in terms of rent versus what's out there and existing too. I don't think you want to create this where it's you're creating a false market too of now these programs, you only can get to this market rent or this rent area if you've gone through this program too. So
So you don't wanna compete with the existing businesses that are out there,
Yeah,
the Tom
it's
Devils of the world, and,
yeah.
those businesses that are already doing
I
these
get
kinds
it,
of things, you don't
Yes.
wanna.
Yes and no. I
You wanna
mean,
get
the
competitive,
yes
but you
part
don't
would
wanna
be,
undercut them.
agreed, but the upside is that the more we can increase the value of downtown, the
Yeah.
more they're gonna
And it
benefit
is,
also.
and it is, there's the, if we do these projects and they show success, then the others are gonna benefit
Correct,
as
that
well.
was
And
my
it
point.
isn't withholding to only these vacant buildings are the only ones that will touch. I mean, it could be a completely occupied and fully owned
Yeah.
building right now that just needs a little bit more support and to, if maybe they have a means to do some expansion, but they're kind of held back by
Mhm.
some repairs that they need in the building. So
If this was done, we probably wouldn't be having this discussion. We'd have created a market.
yeah, sure.
Well, and we had said that, you know, we didn't want to restrict it so much that, say, Aurora B's, you know, that building was falling apart, that we didn't want to help out there. It's
Mhm.
more of a community project than it is just the downtown, even if that's what we call it. At least that's what the discussion was. I don't know if that's where you guys are still at, because if there's something on the west side that's not part of the historic
Yeah,
downtown.
we haven't established that. Yeah.
So I think that's just something to think about in terms of when we bring this back. We'll probably bring it back with maybe an area, target areas. And I know that's important too if we do try to leverage money through like the small cities program. They want specific target areas that you're addressing in their programs now, in their change in the grant application isn't so much community-wide. They want to target, you know, specific neighborhoods so that they can show neighborhood impact in the use of those dollars. So it might be helpful in terms of leveraging future funds of other funders.
Well, can we just, I mean, because here we do have some west side stuff that's part of the program, right? So.
So in terms of just setting with those, that external boundaries.
If we have to, I think that would be logical.
Couldn't we just go city limits?
Not for small cities grants. You
It
know,
has to be a district or a special
Yeah.
area.
Yeah. They-
Something that you can prove some neighborhood impacts.
Well, we have to, John, we talked about other funding for it, whether we budget for it in the future, whether, and I know this will,
I think
parts of it can come through the council, because whether it's from land sales, or other funding sources, because if we're gonna just try to live off the grants, I don't know
Yeah.
how
No.
successful
And
we're gonna
yeah.
be.
And if it is something with, you know, the deferred loan / grant programs, you kind of need to continue supplementing into that fund because it won't be it won't be like, act like a revolving loan fund. Those dollars come back and kind of replenish to the next projects. I mean, yes, in certain circumstances, we will get part of that back because part of it is a loan, but not everything.
Would it be possible even to do a split program where we focus on the downtown, maybe come up with an auxiliary program to help people in other parts of the city? But it'd be a different kind of program, maybe more pure loan versus grant or whatever.
Well, I think the most visible and most, what you hear about is the downtown, and the concerns with the downtown as you go forward with the trails.
Yeah.
Having a pretty bride down there is important.
Mhm.
Rather than a bunch of empty buildings, nobody's gonna want to stop in town if we don't have anything for them to stop for.
You may also want to, you know, have them use some of that funding for working on the backside of the buildings to make them more attractive, you know, so that's where a lot of the parking is.
Yeah.
So people would naturally gravitate towards that back door rather than walking around the block.
And that's gonna be a forced, that's gonna be a forced issue to have to address when the state ever does come and do Highway 27, because they will be closing off the street and there will be limited access in the front of those buildings, especially the ones that are on 27, so.
And I don't know if that, fixing the backside up is expensive, because it's not as much structural as it is pretty. Because it just needs some cleaning up, some,
Painting, maybe
Detail.
a door.
right?
Well, and just something that,
A facade to hide the air
something that
conditioner.
says this is where
Yeah, so
this
you know where
door
you're
is,
going.
yeah, where you're going.
Like
You-
Bonjo's, you know.
Yeah, you know that
You
you're
know
going
you're
into
walking
Bonjo's,
into Bonjo's.
or Milgram's, or, you know, some of those, but some of the others don't know.
So just, and then I think the other piece just to be thinking about in terms of discussion is how much funding should we initiate in this program. And it may be determined later as when we get through the first project, was that enough or is that too much?
Yeah.
Or
Well, if we take on that JCPenney building, that's a big one.
And it isn't like, I think, I want to be clear, in our projects in Madison, it wasn't, we were funding everything. We were funding the gap between what the individual could get financed from their own, from their own private resources, what we would also be able to loan as gap loans from our EDA funds. And then that was the difference, because there was caps to what we could even loan out.
You may also want to use your money as a match.
Sure.
They have, because then they have some skin in the game.
Yeah, I like that.
Say it's a $20,000 project, okay,
Exactly.
So-
you come up with 10, I don't care if it's a bank or,
Right.
you come up with 10, and then here is a match for that within your guidelines.
Yeah, we had one where the project was, we were primarily working with the individual, not through the business corporation first, we were working with them. And they went out and got their own funding and applied for additional funding through the EDA. And there was a grant supplement that we had to come up with to basically make sure that the project was successful, because he put it, and then he would have a calculation of, this is how much equity I'm putting into it. He was a contractor, so he could value that in terms of his labor and costs and things that he was actually putting in. So there was a balance there. Like, we were gonna put in 55 and we wanted to see that he put in 55 or 50, and he did. I mean, he showed us that his costs and receipts and costs and labor that he had for people, and it worked out well for him, because in the wintertime when he wasn't as busy doing his natural job, he could work on this project and get it up and running. And in the end, he was gonna have a portion of the building that he was going to own and operate out of too. So it worked out for everybody. We had it was one of those that was a viable project. It took a couple of years to actually make it happen too, so.
No, I'd like to see us definitely pursue this
Oh, without a doubt.
with, now the details need to be worked out as far as, but yeah, they definitely have to have some skin in the game.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'll just walk away. If something doesn't work, they'll walk away. And then we're waiting 7 years or.
And I do wanna make it feasible for a contractor to fix it up, because it's a win-win. But I'd also like to incentivize somebody what do I wanna say, the future user would be incentivized to buy it and do it himself. So, like the historic preservation, there's a forgivable aspect of it if they do it and stay there.
Right.
I think that is a wonderful program.
Yeah.
And run the tax rolls, and we got new employees. And
Yes. But rather than sitting vacant, hell yeah, I want to incentivize a contractor, why not?
Okay.
When Bonjos did that, when they put those, I think it was Bonjos, put the apartments, they worked through,
HRA,
okay,
HRA gave them a loan.
because that turned out beautiful.
Yeah, the apartments, the
Yeah.
HRA did that.
And I imagine they're rented, I don't know,
I
but,
believe so, yeah.
These are second floor apartments?
yeah. But they're nice apartments.
Well, it's the
Put in an
same
elevator?
thing with, Fremont
No,
Appliance
they didn't.
Building
So
too.
there must be having some way around it. So,
No, this was 10 years ago,
okay.
maybe
Well,
longer,
Yeah.
that
Well, not
happened.
every building needs to have an elevator, I mean, it's not
Well,
a
there-
requirement, but.
For a while, yeah, it depends on where you were, what have you, but with a lot of commercial buildings, if you had second floor anything, you had to comply with Disabilities Act.
Yeah.
So that's what now whether that's still true or whether maybe I'm wrong, but that was my understanding. That's why a lot of downtowns die, because nobody can afford to put these things in.
Yeah, and if you don't have an elevator, it just might not be attractive enough to draw the tenants.
Well, the Red Bull never had to have one, so it may have to do with if people are living there
The
or.
use, yeah.
Well, where it usually came into play is if you tried to upgrade or change what was there. If you're doing major renovations is where it came into play.
Well, that Red Bull had a major renovation, and upstairs wasn't even usable, and when they had that major renovation, so if the Thielen Appliance building had that upstairs, would they I don't think they'd have to have one, so I think it kind of bounces around, but regardless.
Yeah.
You were saying about Leland, Karen?
Well, I mean, they have apartments up there. I mean, you know, it's kind of fringe and I haven't been up there. But it would take, you know, some considerable amount of money to, you know, finish them out and all of that. And, you know, it gives space to people that would then go downstairs and shop and eat.
Well, then again, you know, if you look at a town like Lanesboro, all those apartments would be full, you know, because you've got a lot of transient people coming in just for summers, what have you. Those apartments would rent in a heartbeat if we were that far down the road. Who knows how long it's gonna take us.
Well, and I know it's been mentioned a couple times, but just to reiterate that.